Hey guys, I want to go over tools because I see a lot of posts on forums and Facebook groups, mostly Facebook groups of guys that are just getting into this and they're wondering what tools they should be bringing. I'm a lead fleet diesel technician, so I've worked a lot on things in the shop. And I've worked a lot on things on the side of the road. Anyway, so I wanted to go over tools because I see a lot of guys that'll get a Toyota. They're just getting into the off-roading, overlanding thing, and they're buying a whole lot of tools. They're buying a metric set, and they're buying a standard set, and they're bringing all of it with them all the time. And to me, that seems like way too much clutter. You can't prepare for everything, and most of the videos that I've seen, at least, are toolkits put together by guys doing the overlanding in Africa and Australia, and they are on a completely different level of what their requirements are. In the United States, even if you're far out in the wilderness, you're really not that far from a shop. You want to be prepared to fix basic things, but you're not going to be able to rebuild your truck out in the desert somewhere. If you're buying a brand new Tacoma or something, as soon as that warranty's up and you're not getting free oil changes, you need to change your own oil. You need to learn some things about your truck. Eventually, you're probably going to break something and you need to know how to fix it. The first time I installed my skid plates, for instance, it took me, I don't know, it probably took me 2 or 3 hours just because I was taking my time. And I just pulled them off last weekend to bend them all straight. It took me less than 45 minutes to pull them all off, put them back on. It just takes so much less time to fix things. You know how things work once you put it together. You need to learn some of the basics about your truck. There's going to be people that disagree with this, of course. I don't think taking both the standard and metric kit makes sense, especially like I drive a Toyota. If somebody's bringing the Jeep, they need to have their own tool set. I'm not preparing for everybody. I bring everything metric. So when I'm putting aftermarket parts on, if I need to bolt some panels together or some plates of steel, or I'm building my refrigerator unit in the back, I don't use standard bolts for anything. But I don't want to have to carry 1 or 2 sockets that are standard. I just don't want to do that. You want everything to be simplified. And alongside that, if you are replacing an alternator or you're putting a lift kit on your Jeep or on your Toyota, keep track. Every time I put something new on here, I will write down the tools I used, and then I will make sure I have that in my toolkit in case I have to pull a skid plate off to get to a drive shaft, to pull that drive shaft out, have a friend take me into town, replace it, that sort of thing. You want to make sure and have those tools on hand if, you know, within reason. You're not going to be doing a 20-hour job on the trail. Be realistic about it. Tools you use for, like, if you get aftermarket battery posts like I have where you can run different wires to them and stuff, make sure you have the Allens for tightening those down, or whatever different tools you're using. Keep an eye on that, keep track of that. I make a note on my phone and my iPhone. I have a whole notes thing that's different tools I've used over time. This is my tool setup, and it's not going to work for everybody. What I use, this is a Blue Ridge Overland Gear tool roll. These things are badass. When I have a snap-on bag, and it is not as useful as this thing by far. The bag itself, just to go over, I really recommend this because it does save space, and this thing fits a ton of tools. So it unrolls like that. I store some gloves and stuff in here. I have a pry bar first and foremost. I do have a snap-on pry bar. It doesn't need to be a snap-on. I would not recommend buying the cheapest tools you can find at Walmart, but all in all, you don't need to spend a ton. Get some stuff on, you can find stuff on Amazon. Husky stuff at Lowe's. I believe that stuff has a lifetime warranty, and you're going to break any brand. In my opinion, rely on hand tools more than the pneumatic stuff, even if you have an air tank. I see a lot of guys take pneumatic tools. I've worked with these people, and they just hammer everything down. You're going to strip bolts out. You're going to cause yourself way more problems. Using hand strength, you get a feel for what's tight, what's not tight, and you won't break things off. You don't want to break a bolt off. If you have a skid plate hanging down and you got to bolt that thing back on, if you break that bolt off in the frame, then there's nothing you can do about it. You're gonna have to rip the whole thing off and just go without skids. Anyway, I'm gonna change camera views so you can kind of see what I got going on here. Like I said, pry bar and a hammer that I lost on the trail somewhere are the only things outside of this that I carry tool-wise, I believe. So anyway, these pouches are removable. So as you take one out, if you just want to carry this somewhere and you're working on stuff, then you can, which is really convenient, so you don't have to lug the whole thing, especially if you're coming down a switchback or something. I've had this happen before. And your friends are coming down an obstacle and you got to take tools up to them. It's nice being able to grab one of these to walk back up the steep switchbacks versus carrying the whole entire tool set. So anyway, pouch number 1, this is my sockets and my ratchets. This is a specific size. This is a 35 millimeter for my axle nut. And then I have miscellaneous 3/8. Most of what I use is 3/8. So we've got some sockets popping off my rack here. 12 point, 3/8 deep. 12 points nice. Not always necessary, but you do need to carry deeps and shallows. And again, I'm making this video, if there's plenty of guys out there that know what tools to carry, know what they like to carry. I'm not arguing with what you like. This is kind of a guide for people who aren't familiar with tool sets and are asking questions. If they're asking questions, this is definitely going to be helpful to them. So this is my shallow set. These are just 6-point. The reason you want to carry shallows specifically, you would think that this could handle it all, but there are a lot of situations when you're working on stuff where a deep socket will not fit around a lobe, like say for like a starter bolt. So in a situation like this, you just can't get a deep socket on there without risking rounding it off. You'll be on there with like 2 teeth. You need to have a socket, especially if you're fixing stuff in the field. You need to have a socket that is locked onto that thing. Now, on the topic of locking on and having like a good bite with a socket or a wrench, that is what you get when you spend more money on wrenches and stuff. Some of the better brands, you don't need to buy Snap-on, but don't buy the cheapest stuff you can find at Walmart. You want to buy something that's that has some production value to it, because the difference is, like, if you take this 14 millimeter, this is a Blue Point, basically Snap-on's cheapest option. If you put this on a nut and you also take the cheapest 14 you can find, you found a kit for 15 bucks on Amazon, and you put that 14 on a nut, this is a much tighter fit, and it's got way less chance of rounding off the bolt or nut. And especially if you're fixing something like a skid plate, things that are underneath the vehicle, outside of the vehicle, that's going to be probably corroded. Unless you cover everything with anti-seize like I do, it's not going to come out very easy. So anyway, that's the purpose of shallows. I've got a wobble on here. Never know when you're going to need one of those. They are very handy. And then like this Allen, I have no idea why I have this in here, but I have it in here for a reason, because of one of the things I've installed in the past. I needed this, so I put it in here. So if the day comes that I'm looking for it on the trail because I broke something, I'm going to have it. I've got miscellaneous size extensions here. My primary reason for that is this ratchet right here. This is Snap-on. This is a really expensive ratchet, but this is a very versatile ratchet. So basically it can be whatever size I need it to be. Snap-on stuff's pretty durable, so I'm not worried if I need to and it's a warranty, so if I make it this long trying to break something on the trail, I can do it, and then if I break the ratchet, I can get it replaced when I get home for free. But that being said, anything that's got that much force is not something I'm going to be repairing, most likely, on the trail, because in the United States, we are so close to Napa, and we're close to Walmart and everything like that. No matter how far you're getting out, you're closer than people are in other countries. Most of the videos of people building toolkits for an overland vehicle online are in Africa or in Australia, or at least the more interesting videos. So don't take what they're saying like it has to be done that way. Those guys are a week without civilization. It's a different thing. Anyway, so I've got my 3/8 to half adapter for that big socket. I've got a spark plug socket, which is probably unnecessary, but I carry it. And then I've got miscellaneous 1/4-inch stuff in here, and then a few sockets that didn't fit on my rack. Anyway, so that's all I carry in that bag. That'll cover most of what I'm gonna have to fix if I have to fix something. So that's all I carry. I got a little breaker bar. I don't know. You can put a pipe over that if you need to. And I think I do carry a pipe. I don't remember. Anyway, I have some form of fitting a pipe over the top of this. So I have, my high lift. That's something I do. Totally forgot about that. I knew I had something. So you can take the handle of a high lift off and put it on a bar like this if you need it to be longer. And then you have a lot more leverage on it. You can break something loose. So this one, if I really got to break something stubborn, I'll probably try this with the high lift jacks handle over the top of it before I risk breaking my ratchet. But I do carry, this one's a Matco, but I do carry 2 3/8 since most of my stuff is 3/8. I do have a backup one. Just seems smart. And then miscellaneous sockets, because this ratchet, while it can also be long, you can fit it into really crazy places just doing stuff like that. If you need to, you're only gonna get a small bite out of it at a time, but I've done it before. I've taken transmissions out of Mack trucks with this thing, and there's no other tool I could have got in there with. Number 2 is my pliers, vice grips, cutters, wire cutters. What is on these? Got a random crescent wrench in here. Wire strippers and crimpers for butt connectors and stuff if I need to do an electrical repair. Anyways, carry a pair of those. If you have a light that goes out or something, you don't know why, you can fix your wiring so you're not going without your lights, especially if you're a night rider, or if, you know, it could be anything. Be your refrigerator wiring is for some reason messed up and you're gonna have to deal with it. This tool is the most amazing thing. It is basically an adjustable ratcheting crescent wrench. I don't really have a nut here handy that I could show. Let me see if I got anything. This will work. You can apply pressure just here, and so you don't have to actually squeeze it as you're turning it. So you can get a lot of leverage with it. You could put a pipe over the top of this if you really need to break something loose, and this thing does not, I've never rounded anything off. This is amazing. And then if you are working on something in a tight space and you need to ratchet it, this is a bad example on an actual nut that's not 4-sided like this, it will turn over, and it's basically like a ratcheting crescent wrench, more or less. So this is amazing. They're expensive. This particular tool I think is like $45 on Amazon, about $70 from a tool truck. But German engineered tool, they're amazing. They also make this one. There's rebranded versions of them. I bought this from Cornwell. You can do all sorts of things with this. I mean, this is basically an adjustable pipe wrench, and the way it's grooved right here is when you put it on a certain size nut, again, it won't round it off because the nut will fit perfectly inside of this, whatever size you're working on. Very versatile tool. I love those. Needle nose pliers, pretty standard. And then I've got assorted wrenches. I've got 3 10 millimeters in here of different sizes. One's ratcheting. I've got an 18. I should probably put a 19 in here because I recently had to use a 19 on something. I don't remember what it is. But in a lot of those situations too, these 2 tools will fit into those places. And I've got the crescent wrench. So with wrenches, you can get away with certain things. But having a box end in places that you can't fit a socket into, a box end is pretty valuable. So anyway, that's the only ratchet or wrenches I carry. It's basically, I'd say, there's a 9, there's a 7. I carry a 7 through an 18, it looks like. So it's pretty basic. I carry a tiny pair of these that's about this long in my pocket at work, and I can fix so much stuff with that and a little pocket-sized flathead screwdriver. If you're crafty enough, you can fix a lot of stuff without, you know, you don't need a special tool for everything. Number 3. What's this one? Oh, okay, so this one's like screwdrivers and stuff, magnets, miscellaneous tools. I've got a ratcheting screwdriver. This one is nice because it folds over. It's got some torque to it, and then keeps extra bits in here. And then it's adjustable. It's got a light on it, but I don't ever use it. Anyway, having something like this is nice. Just makes it speeds things up, and I don't carry an electric screw gun in an FJ Cruiser. I just don't have room for something like that. This is just a bit set, and I stuff the Allens in there just to keep them not really organized, but just in one place. Special tool like that one's for my Rhino rack backbone that carries the tent, stuff like that. And then miscellaneous sizes. I don't think all these are specific for mine. Maybe they are, I don't remember. You can buy a big set of these different bits on Amazon with like 100 bits in them or something for like $5. And it's rare that you're gonna break those. I've got the tire plug tools. I've got a magnet for reaching in and grabbing a bolt off of a skid plate or something. Snap ring pliers. The reason I carry these is for my winch shackle, regular flathead. Sometimes you just need a regular screwdriver and you can use it as somewhat of a pry bar, regular Phillips, box knife, using that for if I have a coolant leak and I need to trim a coolant line, coolant hose, I can go to Napa if I need to, or whatever the case is, I can trim coolant line with that really easily. Got this little, I've heard them lady's foot, crow's foot, whatever you want to call it. You're not supposed to strike this and use it as like a chisel, but I certainly have. And then I've got actual punches, different sizes. These are just really cheap. I carry a pack of a glove stuffed with gloves because I do prefer working with gloves on. I don't like the smell of gasoline. And then I've got like paracord wrapped on my steering wheel for grip, and I don't want that sucking up the smell of gasoline. Some people are into that. I'm happy for you. I do not like huffing gasoline fumes all day. Even if I'm putting gas into the tank from my roto packs, I actually put on a pair of latex gloves just so I don't have to smell it. Diff oil, stuff like that, I prefer keeping that off my hands. Especially since I like cooking so much in the wilderness, it's hard to get that stuff off. It's hard to get oils and stuff off at work with Gojo. All right, last pouch. I've got a 3M heat shrink connector box. I've got all sorts of stuff in here. I've got a fuse holder. I've got heat shrink of different sizes. I've got fuses in here, mini fuses, standard size fuses. I've got butt connectors in here, just electrical repairs. And make sure you're carrying the fuse sizes that you actually need. I've got several of, most of my stuff is, because it's LED, is all run on the same fuse sizes, so it makes it simple. Nitro tape, this is, if I have like a hose leak, a radiator leak, or a radiator hose leak, coolant line, the idea behind this stuff is that it's self-adhesive, so you can wrap it around. I don't know if it works or not. Matco guy gave it to me for free a couple years ago, so I've been holding on to it in case I need it. Electrical tape, pretty standard. As much as I hate electrical tape, sometimes you need it. I do not advise using electrical tape. It leaves gummy shit everywhere. Test light. I've got a snap-on test light just because I upgraded to a different snap-on, and trade-in was like 10 bucks or something, so it wasn't worth it. So I kept it. So now I got a nice test light in here. I've got a really terrible multimeter in here. It's really simple, it's really cheap, but it works, and I'm not gonna carry a giant multimeter in here. I've got a valve tool, valve stem, valve core tool for tires. This is for people that, I know people have seen these and they may not even know what they're for. This is for the valve core inside of the valve stem. And so in my professional work, I change like 10 of these a week on our fleet, just because when you're airing up tires, they get moisture in them, and then during the winter, that moisture freezes, and a lot of times if you're checking tire pressures and stuff or airing down, that moisture will get caught in this and it'll actually keep itself open and cause a leak. I see it a lot. I've never had it happen on my Toyota, or any of my friends have never said anything like that, but it does happen, so I carry extras. And because of airing down and stuff, you never know when you might need another one. So I keep that, the valve core tool. This is a tap. You can tap your valve stem. Most likely, if you're at that point, you should try to get that thing repaired in the next town over. It'll cost you 15 bucks. And then this is for actually taking the valve core out. This is for tapping where your cap goes on, basically. But it's hard to tap those anyway. On like most wheels have the rubber stem. So it's actually hard to even use this in the first place, but something handy to have. This is for cleaning electrical connections, mostly is what I have this for. You can use a screwdriver and stuff too, it's just something I carry. But anyway, that's my tool set. And the nice thing about this Blue Ridge tool roll is that once it's open, you can use it like this and kneel on it, or use it as like a creeper if you need to. It's not very long, it's probably only 2 feet long, 2.5 feet long. But it's better than nothing if you don't want to get completely covered in dirt, or if it's muddy out or something, then you can just put it back in the back of the vehicle, let it dry out, and then knock the mud off as soon as it's dried. And these guys have a lifetime warranty. I can't stress how important a warranty is to me, and that's why I buy a lot of Snap-on stuff, is just because Snap-on seems to have the best warranty of the tool manufacturers. I've had issues with Cornwell telling me that some of their stuff is warranted, and then when the time comes, they don't warranty it. Matco's pretty good about it too, but if you're gonna buy You can buy tons of quality tools on Amazon as well. But anyway, yeah, so this is my tool set, and this should cover most people's needs. And if you're watching this video and you're looking for ideas, or you're looking for what you might need for your truck, just keep track of what you're using while you're installing things. Install some of the basic things on your own. You know, it's nice just to take it to a shop and have them installed, and if you got the money to do that, great. But you should get used to your vehicle. Don't be scared of it. You know, if you don't want to change out your gears on your own, I understand, but if it comes to installing some fog lights, you should really do that yourself. Just put the effort in. You'll learn a lot. But yep, that's the tool roll. This thing's awesome. I'm gonna buy another one for work. Coolest toolbox I've found, portable toolbox I've found. Anyway, that's my tool selection. Let me know if you guys have any questions.